It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word.
We on a mission and that's bringing y'all the truth. You know the problem, but we get into the root. The devil watching, yeah, he always on pursuit. But Jesus is our rock, so we shall not be moved. We on a winning team, so we can't lose. We say facts, cause we hitting y'all with proof. Started from the bottom, now we standing on the roof. As God as our witness, we gon' make it to the moon. When you want the truth, the world be hiding it. This the real word, we providing it. We got Acee, BK, Truth, Rick Star, and we plan to make a movie like it's Pixar. We came a long way from the plantation. We just tryna save your souls from damnation. So if you down with the message, tune in every week. It will lead you to the message that you seek.
It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word.
6. Shout out to everybody for watching. Shout out to everybody for joining us. This is The Real Word, episode 27, season 5. Shout out to all the people that has been supporting us so far, thus far. Shout out to everybody that subscribes to YouTube. That's The Real Word TV on YouTube. That's The Real Word TV on YouTube. Shout out to everybody that follows us on Instagram at The Real Word Ministries Inc. on Instagram. That's at The Real Word Ministries Inc. on Instagram. Shout out to everybody that go to our official website, www.therealwordministriesinc.org. That's The Real Word Ministries Inc.org. We also on Soundcloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spodify at The Real Word Podcast. Shout out to my co-hosts in the building today.
Yeah, you know, it's the only one and only AI in the building. I'm your Instagram, Acee Irving 11. There's no 11. I'm gonna just drink water.
Shout out to my co-host. I said my co-host. Shout out to my special guest, my recurring guest that's here with us today. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Ant. Shout out to everybody. Happy holiday. We're gonna talk today.
You sure it's a holiday?
We can call it that.
Allegedly. But shout out to everybody for watching. Like, yeah, this is a weird Labor Day today. You know, we on quarantine and everything else that's going on. The new normal. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like, the whole Labor Day not happening. Usually people be in the streets throwing powder, wilding out. But it's quiet, you know, the streets is not blocked off, nobody is dying on Eastern Parkway.
You're right. I mean, they're trying to create less communication. They don't want people to be in contact no more. I mean, I think one of the main reasons why they don't want a lot of people to be communicating more is because, like, we were empowering ourselves, and, you know, in this world, connects is basically how one of the main steps to elevate yourself. And the fact that everybody was coming together, both races, I don't think they like that.
Why not?
Because, like I said before, the first thing that was created when TV was first made, what they did promote division. To keep people separated. And when you keep people separated, then that means the 1% stays at the top. Because if the 1% at the top got everybody on the bottom fighting amongst each other, then they could keep all the power.
Do you agree or you digress?
I mean, I agree. I would say that I agree up to a certain point. I pretty much agree with everything that you're saying. What I would add to that is like what our responsibility in all of it is.
So what's our responsibility?
I mean, we just had a crazy Labor Day. Like pretty much no parade, no juve. People still had some barbecues, so people still got together.
I barely seen barbecues today, and I've been around.
No, but that's what I'm saying. There weren't as much as we usually see, but people still had some barbecues today, so people still got together in some kind of way, shape, or form.
I see a lot of red tapes and cops. Especially last night.
But that's what they do. That's what they do every holiday, though. That's what they do every holiday.
I've been seeing it a lot recently, like subtracting from Labor Day weekend, when there's really no Labor Day, like even prior to that, like I've been downtown, places like downtown, Williamsburg, Fort Greene, and every time I went to each location, at least one time, where I was trying to drive to a certain section, and there was red tape, and I had to go the other way.
I mean, I think if it comes to that, then I think you should really be applauding the police, because crime is going up, and if they're showing you that they're patrolling the neighborhood more, then it's a good thing. I don't think we should be. It's anything to cry about. Like I always say, I don't think policing is wrong. When we have cops abusing their power, that's wrong. But we're not. I'm not per se. I'm not technically just against police. Period. I'm against police being allowed to abuse their power.
I'm against police.
Wow.
Nah, I mean that's outrageous, bro. That's outrageous.
Me and cops.
That's outrageous.
Look, I'm just gonna say it like this. I have a clean record, so it's like this. I don't like cops, but I know how to operate with them. Like if a certain situations come, so it's like, yeah, I don't like you, but I'm not gonna. When I first see you, I'm not gonna throw out those signals and try to be on some staticky movement. You get what I'm trying to say?
I get it.
I be more respectful. I turn into the other side.
We're kind of veering into another conversation, so I don't want us to forget about the conversation about the 1%. But to address what you're saying right now, I'm sorry, bro, but it's like, you sound absurd, because it's like,
look. I say what a lot of people, they are good cops, but the one thing I know is like that is a boot camp as well, and that's a division like where there's levels to like if you say you got lieutenant status and all that, like there's levels to it, and it takes a lot of sacrifice to be able to get those positions. Which I'm adding on to that. The longer you in that system, if you're a good cop, they'll turn you out.
No, but so then
you might not get turned out 100%, but
then you have a problem with the system in place. But as a citizen, this is why I asked the question earlier: is when do we ask ourselves, like, how much do we have to do with it? Because like we partake in the system even though we don't like it, and even though we do have the power to change it, we never come to a collective enough where we could actually get the laws that we want implemented. So if we agree that, okay, the system that's in place right now for the police is wrong, then I agree. But we can't just say we're against police. We have to say that, okay, we have to change the system. Right. Like, I would agree with
you got a good point. You got a good point where you said, like, we always, where you just stated that, oh, yes. You said that.
I said, I can agree with you that there's a problem with the system. But to be just against police, I think is absurd, because it's like.
You said sometimes we with them and then sometimes we're against them, right? Because because you just stated that you said sometimes we help them and then sometimes we're against them when it comes to police brutality, but it's like they feed us and we be like, oh yeah, I want it.
Nah, not necessarily, because like what I would say in that sense is,
when they give you the $3,000 reward, what would a lot of people be? They'd be like, yeah, I don't like cops, but $3,000 reward, be like, oh yeah, I saw it, all that.
No,
What's the stench you saying about?
But,
yeah.
I'm saying that to say, like, you cannot just be against police. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, as a man, you're supposed to be there to like provide and protect for your family.
Yes.
But if
I have family members.
If I'm here right now doing the podcast and something is happening at home, I appreciate the fact that my wife could pick up the phone and call 911 and someone is gonna be there to render some kind of help.
Yeah.
I love that. I appreciate that. The problem with that is that why does it have to be that once that cop show up at my door, there might be some racial profiling going on?
They might ask, is this even your house?
then these are the questions that we need to address. But we can't just, because cops are, abusing their power and the union is protecting them and letting them abuse their power, we can't just say, oh, we should take away police, because that's chaos. Complete chaos.
Anarchy.
Anarchy.
You're right. If we take
you leaving your house to go to work, you come back, people just run up in your house. There's nobody to call.
Yeah, you're right. You got
So you can't. We can't just be against police.
But I don't want it to be called police. That's what I'm.
No, that's exactly. That's exactly.
I'd rather.
That's exactly what it has to be called, man.
Nah, I don't want it to be called police.
The bad part of the police system, man, we already know. The way that the quota system in the police is wrong. The way they promote in the police is wrong. The way the police is. I can't say that I'm against the brotherhood, but as soon as you become a cop, they make it seem like it's more important to be loyal to cops,
the government,
than it is to be loyal to the people that you serve. And that's just wrong.
That's why
because
I said
the whole brotherhood should not just be with cop among cops, but cops that patrol our community should feel that brotherhood with the community as well.
It's not just cops among cops, though.
And if they don't, then it goes wrong from that. So we could attack the system that way and say, in their practices, in how they teach people to become cops, they need to change. So we could attack the system.
They're not going to change that system.
But this is why I say, if you just believe that, then you might as well pack your bags and leave and go somewhere else. Because you're telling me that the system in place is wrong, it's unfair, and you're just okay because you can't do anything about it. But if you admit to that, what you have to realize is the second you just succumb to it, you're participating in it. You're letting it be. Because your tax dollars are funding that system.
One thing we could say though about the history of the police, a lot of people, history shows that the police were created for two things. One, to protect property of the rich, and
exactly.
two, to capture runaway slaves, which was considered property, basically.
That's why I said
they were created to just protect property. And over time, the systematic racism, or people also about the system is broken. The system's not broken. It's designed to be this way. And they still see us as less of a human because of the color of our skin, unfortunately. And therefore, there's a less emphasis to protect us than there is to protect the underprivileged individuals. A perfect example of that would be what happened in Michigan when the 17-year-old boy was walking next to the police with a gun on his back, right? And he went ahead and he killed, I think, 3 people, what was it? And he shot those people and, they didn't kill him. Like, they locked him up, put him in jail, and he wasn't shot, not one time. But let's say if it was a melanated individual that had the strap, it would have went a totally different way. The guy allegedly in Michigan, they said he went for a knife in his car, and that's when he got shot in the back. So here we have a black man with a knife, he gets shot in the back, and here we have a young white boy with a AK on his back or an M16, whatever it was, and
you could go.
He walks away.
Because, to your point, the system, like we all said, the system is set up that way. It's set up to create division, and majority of the products they put out is to separate you. Because if you get multiple thoughts, then it's like, all right, we got them separated. They're not connected. Because the one thing we know is like teamwork is how, like when you watch basketball, teamwork, chemistry is mainly how you win a championship, right? Because we all seen like Kobe, and you had Kobe. You had Karl Malone, Shaq, Gary Payton, and they still didn't win the ring. And why? The chemistry wasn't there.
They lost to a team that had another team of superstars that had better chemistry.
Yeah, they didn't have a superstar on that team. It was a collective unit.
Nah, they lost to KG, Rondo.
No, they lost. They lost to the Pistons.
They lost to the Pistons.
Detroit Pistons. They had no superstar in there.
Okay.
No, but like
they had like third option players. A
yeah,
good amount of them.
Players. Who they had? Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, they had
Rip Hamilton.
They had great role players that played great defense.
Yeah.
And back to the chemistry. Why? Let's see. That whole season, Karl Malone was trying to mess with Kobe's wife. That kills chemistry right there. That's how you create the division.
I mean, I'm gonna pick up right here because I agree with what you're saying, but when I say that we have to fight the system,
how are we gonna fight the system?
I mean it in this way. Like, for example, what Rickard said, a white kid with an AK on his back could walk by the cops and nothing happens to him. A black man going to the car to get a knife is way more is scarier than that. So I have to shoot him in the back 7 times. Why?
Because that's what they implement inside your mind.
But that's okay. That's stereotype. But if we want to figure out how to solve that problem, we have to figure out exactly where that stereotype comes from. We could say, we could say it comes from the house, but you just said it. It comes from the TV.
Because do you learn? The one thing I know is this. Where do we learn division from? You learn it from your teachers, right? Because the teachers teach you. And who taught the teachers? They was in school and they was getting taught by teachers. And all those teachers learned from who? Or let me guess. The TV.
Whoever created the curriculum.
No, but that's what I'm saying though. So if we can acknowledge that, then we understand that Hollywood is able to control a narrative that dominates the whole nation, and we know that, right? So everyone at the table here, we could agree to that.
Yeah.
Then how are we holding Hollywood accountable to make sure that they change that? Because
we don't hold them accountable.
When the Black Lives Matter movement was going on about 2 months ago, I saw actors coming out with a video and they were saying, "Oh, I feel guilty because, you know, I have my whiteness and, you know, white privilege." And like, them acknowledging that is not doing anything for me. Like, white privilege exists and your skin is white, my skin is black. Nothing is never going to change that. Whether you acknowledge whether you have privilege or not, it does not change the fact that you will still have privilege. Now, how do we break that privilege? Now, this is when Hollywood could basically come in and play the role. We need to have our black.
That's not their role.
Then we need to be able to control our own narrative and tell our own story. Because let me tell you something.
Yeah, you could do that, but instead of doing that, you support them. Like, for example, Fergal, who owns Off-White, when everybody seen that snapshot where all those people during the protests and all those people that was getting locked up, and all he said was $50. Guess what? You still buying Off-White? When H&M came out with that monkey shirt, you're still buying H&M.
But
when Gucci came out with the monkey shirt, you're still buying Gucci.
But I'm gonna challenge what you're saying right now by saying, if you're so much against the system, why you're here? Because while you're criticizing Virgil for taking part in it, your money is, you got Yeezus on, you got Adidas on, like, your money is funding that same system. You're not any better than Virgil. If anything, Virgil is just smarter than you. Instead of just funding the system, he's figuring out a way to make sure the system put money in his pocket too.
Yeah.
So we could sit here and criticize the system all day, but if we're
So
putting,
that's what I'm saying.
if we're
You're
putting,
feeding off the
no,
system.
but this is what I'm saying. We could criticize the
You
system.
attack the system,
We could attack the system, but
the system
can't
is
attack,
in you and you
but
speak
you
the
can't
system.
attack individuals that's in it because you're in it just like them.
Yeah, because
Yes, but you
they
can't,
hypnotize
but
you to be in it.
No, this is what I'm saying. You can't tell me about Virgil. You can't tell me about no white Hollywood actor because the same way he's profiting from the system, you're funding it. So you can't criticize him. The only thing
You can stop funding it, but you choose not to. That's why it's going to continue.
Stop funding a system that you've pretty much put your sweat and tears and everything into building,
and that's
just to watch other people enjoy it. It's just kind of BS. Which is why I always say
that's why we would never
people like Jay-Z,
great.
People like even Virgil, I say, are doing the right thing. What we have to do is get into the system, make sure we get into those high level positions, but we have to understand what our plan is so that once we get there, we can change the narrative.
Yeah, but this is the thing though. There's a lot of people. I'll give you another example. In Hollywood, I know this for sure. Like, if you will do a lot of these actors, these players and all, a lot of them will come from Christian households, families.
Yeah, a lot of singers. Whitney Houston.
A lot of them came from Christian households.
Yeah,
and then what did they say? Oh, yeah, they know about the system. They already know what this is about. And they say, yeah, I'm going to get in and I'm going to change everything. We going to change the narrative. We going to beat the system. Just like how you're saying, but guess what? Once they reach a certain ceiling, it's like, oh yeah, they turn you out.
Or you get pushed out.
Or you get pushed out. If you're not a part, if you're not doing what you signed that check for, when they sign your checks for, they boot you.
But now you're talking about something. You're talking about something completely different now.
No, it's not different.
What I'm saying is, you have to get in the system. The
people that are in the system.
The people that are in the system and running it, they tell you about one thing: ownership. If you don't own, you can't do anything.
It's true.
What you're talking about right now is people who don't own. When you own, listen, people can't tell you where to go.
They own.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Then in your fight, you have to fight to own. Because if you don't own, if you're getting a check from somebody, you're always being told what to do. But if you own, nobody can tell you what to do with your own stuff.
You're right.
But
look,
let me explain one story.
You have your business, right?
Yeah.
You have a small business, right? I know about small business. It's like, yeah, it's yours, but the one thing I know about small businesses is that a lot of small businesses, if they're not it might look like pretty weird. Oh yeah, let's say for an average every year, one small business company, they making $5,000 per year. But if they're always paying all these taxes, and if they're spending more if their overhead is more than the product, sometimes you don't close. Sometimes you might be still able to work where you're gonna make some money, but the overhead, you're looking like, I spent all of this bread just to get what? So I say you spend $1 million just to get 500,000 per year.
So
that doesn't sound good.
Huh? But if it doesn't matter how much money you make. Bro, I don't think you understand what $500,000 a year is. I think you want to probably
I'm just saying it as an example.
I think you want to probably use a different amount
I want to use it as a different amount. But let's say like you spend $3 million a year.
Let's say you spend $3 million a year, right? And then at the end of the year,
you only have $5,000.
You make $3.2 million, right? Which means you only make $200,000 for the year.
That doesn't look good.
You still wake up on your own. You're still doing what you want to do. Nobody's calling you to tell you, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And even $200,000 is too much, bro. An average salary that you're getting from someone right now at work, if you're getting minimum wage, would be like $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 a year.
If you're making decent,
listen,
55, 60.
if you have your own business, even if you're making $28,000 a year, I would say stay in it, figure out how to make it grow, because you can figure out how to pay yourself more. Once you go get a job from somebody and you're expecting to pay from that person, then that's when
Oh, no, I believe in entrepreneurship.
Okay,
sure.
Okay. Then in that sense, this is what I'm saying.
It's only for certain companies, not.
But we can't just decide that. Oh, like for example, Hollywood. Like we can't just decide to do away with Hollywood. Mm. We have to infiltrate it. We have to be the big players in it. So that we can make the movies. So that we can make the movies that we want to make. Like for example,
you're never gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, Tyler Perry. Like yo,
he just became a billionaire.
I was watching a movie the other day, White Boy Rick.
Yeah.
And it's a movie about some guy that's snitching and he working with the government. And I'm complete extravaganza in the movie. I'm like, somebody produced this, yo.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote this movie and got paid. Somebody looked at this movie and said, yes, I'm going to invest $2 million so that we could make this movie. They paid an actor to make the movie. Meanwhile, they're not making no movies about Toussaint Louverture. They're not making no movies about Malcolm X.
What they said was that, like in every movie, even when it's an all-black movie, there always gotta be a white savior or a main white person in the movie.
Yep.
White Boy Rick was actually a movie with a mostly black cast, but the main character was a white boy in Detroit that ended up selling drugs and snitched on all the black people.
You see how they?
But the movie basically is a flip. Basically, it's like you get a couple dollars to make the film, and then when you bring it to the box office, which is the distribution, which is the local theaters, then you see how much people that's coming in and buying your product, and then the more people that go in and buy the product, the more money you make off of it. Like there's movies that's been made for like $500,000, $100,000, like the Blair Witch Project. I think that was the one of the cheapest made movies that made the most in the box office. And that was just off hype. It wasn't even scary. It was a bunch of kids running around in the woods with a camera like, I'm scared, I'm scared. Oh no, oh no. So it's like, you gotta look at it from that perspective. But to switch the subject, recently there's been a lot of sex trafficking rings that's been busted. And a lot of people are connecting it to politics, of course, because one of the things that Trump said he was going to do was drain the swamp. And a lot of people also connected it to the whole Jeffrey Epstein case with his girlfriend being caught. And since she's been caught, a lot of sex trafficking rings have been discovered in Ohio and in Atlanta, Georgia recently. And they finding kids as young as 3 years old. That was sex trafficked. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that it's not really surprising news to me, because
you gotta be sick for a 3-year-old though. Sheesh.
Yeah, people are that sick, but like it's always been happening, like the sex trafficking, and it's like a lot of people is like when they see it and they be like, oh yeah, we're against sex trafficking, but guess what? Don't we have OnlyFans right now? And what is OnlyFans?
Sex trafficking.
Yeah.
This girl selling pools.
Yeah. So it's like you're against. Come on, bro.
I wouldn't consider that. Come on, man. I wouldn't
consider
what? Sex trafficking, bro.
Yes, it really is.
It's a dog.
A weirdo could just go on there. That's real smart, because there's weirdo smart people where it's like they could just go on the internet. They will just watch it, and then they'll figure out all your information.
But that's what I'm saying. But
that's how sex trafficking all starts.
That's weirdos committing crimes, though, man. There's no way I could say your OnlyFans is sex trafficking. Like it's grown women.
So what is it?
It's grown women taking videos of themselves.
What is it? Are you not getting paid for this?
But that's prostitution. But you can't call that sex trafficking. That's prostitution.
That's a sex worker.
But that's sex work. But that's not. But there's no kind of enslavement in it.
There is, because you signed up for it.
But you
is that not how you signed up for OnlyFans?
You're making money though.
It is a way of sex trafficking, because a prostitute is being trafficked like she's a sex worker.
But this is
just signing up online.
But OnlyFans, right? OnlyFans. The only thing OnlyFans is doing is taking the pimp's job away. Because before, the pimp had to be like,
so how you think a pimp feel about that?
The pimp gonna feel however he wants to feel.
He's not gonna feel good.
I don't care, but I think OnlyFans just only take the pimp away because the girl is not bothered.
She the new pimp.
She's not bothered with protection.
Nah, there is a pimp in there.
OnlyFans is the pimp.
I'm saying no. Because
if you have an account,
there's a guy sometimes that's with the girl in the scenes. They just don't ever show the guy's face.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But in that sense, right? In that sense, for example, then you can say what the pimp gonna do. What the pimp gonna do, and instead of being on the street, maybe he's gonna go make an OnlyFans account.
There's guys who's making OnlyFans pages with their wives.
Okay.
It's like married girls doing OnlyFans.
So how is that sex trafficking?
How
is that sex trafficking?
Because you're selling sex.
But
sex trafficking is basically
selling sex.
But,
it doesn't matter how you put it. You're selling sex.
You and your
why do you go to if you're gonna go to OnlyFans? Why you go there?
Bro, me and my wife are in my bedroom. You know, having sex. We make a tape and sell it. We make money. We make $1 million. We buy a new house. You telling me I'm sex trafficking?
Once you selling it, you're trafficking sex. Like you're pushing sex.
Bruh, son. Then
you know it's true.
Bro, that's like if I buy.
How is that wrong? How is that wrong?
Why is that wrong?
That's wrong. Bro, tell me right now, son. How is that different from me and my wife making an album and then you buy the music?
I mean,
what? That's like me buying a half of O and I sell you half, and I break it down and I start selling it to the people in the hood. I'm a drug trafficker now.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm a drug trafficker now, right? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah, you know that's true.
In that sense,
you know it's true.
In that sense, listen, prostitution is illegal in certain places. I'm a person that says prostitution should be legal.
Why?
A girl wanna sell her body, let her do it. That's it.
It's the older profession in the
world. You're right. Everybody.
A girl wanna sell her body, let her do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why are we stopping it? Why is it our business? A girl wanna sell her body, let her do it. Some guy wanna buy it, let him buy it. What should we care?
Nah,
who's it hurting? It's not hurting me. It's not hurting me. Now, if you're it doesn't have.
Now, what if things go wrong?
What could go wrong?
A lot of things could go wrong in sex work.
If the guy decides not to pay, then this is why we should have police.
Oh, it could be like.
The guy.
What do you say? Yo, he stole some booty.
Pay the girl. Y'all made it.
You think the cops are really going to tell him to pay the girl?
If prostitution was illegal, that's what would happen. If prostitution was illegal, that's what would happen. If you made an agreement,
I don't think it should be legal.
If you made an agreement with a girl, but listen, it's the same way with drugs, man. We're putting quotas and stuff we can't control, and then we open a black market for it, and then we create a whole BS system after that.
There's a reason why I don't want it to be legalized. That's
if a guy's not trying to abuse some kind of kid, why do you care that he wants to pay?
All right. Look. I give you some points. So
if you're not abusing no kids, it should not matter.
So look. Let's say this, right? We're gonna go very deep. So you said it should be legalized. You know, if you say it should be legalized, let's say if it does come legalized, you know that's a threat. Let's say for your daughter.
How?
Because it's legal.
Bro, it's illegal.
So it's like,
it's illegal right now and it's still a threat to my daughter.
Exactly. So but making it legal is just not helping the chances. Because then the women in this world is like, look, you don't want the image for women to be like,
there
yo.
are places in the world prostitution is legal.
Yeah, it is
legal.
But you don't want the whole
prostitution is illegal in Vegas.
Hold on, we have a couple comments. Shout to Brendan Brown Bezo. Yo, what's up, bro? He said mental enslavement. He said the pimps are the people running the website. They get their cut off the top before any of these females touch any
that's true.
account.
That's it.
He said that's not sex trafficking. In my opinion, is the same thing these people on Pornhub are getting.
Thank you, my brother. That's not how I'm like.
He said fact. She's gonna sell whether we deem it legal or not. So why not allow her to provide for herself and her family?
Thank you.
And anyways, she sees fit as long as she's isn't doing it against her will.
Thank you, my brother. That's it.
Look,
She's not doing
everybody
it
like
against her
how they
will.
want to,
If she's not
but
doing it against her will,
I don't think
we
it should be.
not care.
It should not be a legal thing though,
We should
because
not. It's the same
that's
way with
just
drugs. It's the same way with drugs, man. Like, yo, you mean to tell me I could go outside right now, buy a Newport, I could smoke 5 cigarettes from between the store to here. Nobody's gonna tell me anything. Meanwhile, I'm killing my lungs. I'm killing my lungs. But
making it legal.
if I roll some weed, that's different.
But look though,
If
making
somebody's
it
sniffing
legal
some cocaine, that's different.
is destroying the future. Making it legal would destroy the future for kids, because now your kid is just gonna be like, yo. You're not really gonna treat a girl with respect, cause it's like.
What?
Well, look at Cardi B and look at that WAP video. Now they have popularized.
What's wrong with that WAP video?
They make being a whole coup.
Listen, I call all y'all hypocrites because
Hypocrites?
Listen, in what was it? I don't know what year. Nothing was a G thing was shot in the Nothing But a G thing video, right? Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, the girls are playing volleyball, right? They're on the beach. This guy go on the beach. Open Shorty brought up in the video, and everybody was like, "That's lit." So a guy can literally abuse a girl.
That's not right.
And we see it, and we say, "Great." And then a girl is showing off her body, and we feel offended. How?
Whoa.
We're more offended that a girl is showing her body.
I feel offended that
somebody
is
committing
real.
an actual crime on tape. Girls want to dance on video, like they dance on video, man. They don't control your kids, man. You
sure they don't control our kids?
You control your kids.
You sure?
You control your kids.
I'll say
the
Cardi
second,
B.
the second you start telling your kids that those people don't exist, if you try to keep them away from it, they find out about it on their own. They're gonna.
That's why you tell them at
That's
a
why you
young age.
educate your kids. You talk to your kids. If your kids mess up, they should be able to come to you. If your kids do something bad, they should be able to come to you. You should be your kids' role models. If you're your kid's role model, you don't have to worry about what everybody else is doing outside. Your kids can be able to go outside, see whatever, and know like, nah, this is not what I want to do. That's it.
Speaking of that, right? There's this recent law that they're trying to pass in California, or maybe they passed it, where it's like there's less strict punishment, or you don't have to necessarily register as a sex offender if you had underage sex with a minor, if it was either anal or oral. They saying that's
garbage. We should find every politician that's on that bill.
They saying basically that's giving like the gays like a path to molest individuals.
Absolutely.
That's basically what it
is. Absolutely. We should actually research on that. We should find every politician on that bill. We should make their name public. They should be voted out because what the hell are they promoting? They gotta go. But this is what I mean when our power is concerned. We can't just sit here, look at this news and say, "Oh, it's a crazy world," and then tomorrow we at the Gucci store buying Gucci. Like, that's wrong. If this is happening, we have the power to say, okay, let's find out who's trying to put this law in place. Let's vote this person out, and let's make sure we never hear from that person again. That's it.
But like I said, like from prior week, they're just gonna put somebody in the family inside the business.
Why do you think there's so much sex trafficking going on, especially like with this little kid?
I think it's just
trafficking minors.
I think we're more connected. If one thing social media has done is that it helped us connect to the world way much easier.
But this is happening in the U.S.
No, but this is what I'm saying, though. This
it now.
This has always been happening, but now we have way more access and exposure to it. So now,
because they allow you to have exposure,
we're able to see it more. But who's allowing? I don't think whoever
is the internet not controlled.
No, but I'm saying though, whoever's doing.
So you're telling me if
I'm trying to say
somebody wanted to play with the power, all our phones will not be off right now.
Nah, but whoever's doing the sex trafficking,
would that not happen?
It's happening. Right?
But whatever you're telling me right now, like
when you have your phone,
whoever's doing the sex trafficking,
don't you get that emergency?
Is not trying to get caught. Whoever's doing the sex trafficking is not trying to get caught.
Sometimes you would by way get caught just to draw attention.
There's no such thing as now they're just letting you see sex trafficking more spot. so you can go be part of it.
No,
but
so you can talk about this.
When you see it, the only thing you see is people going to jail.
But that's perverted individuals. Like,
absolutely, but those people always existed. But this is what I'm saying though. This is happening here in America, and we see it. Like places in Haiti, where I come from, like these things are happening, and nobody knows about it, bro. So this is like nothing new.
But the UN soldiers go to Haiti to like
exactly. So these are things that's happening, in places like Haiti where the internet is not. Available to everybody, and it's not as easy to connect.
I'm not saying
like these things are happening. People just don't know.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right.
Brennan,
the internet.
That's the reason why a lot of kids are going missing. Yeah, a lot of kids are going.
Absolutely.
They said basically like over 300,000 kids go missing a year.
Absolutely.
I know why they go missing.
And they said what 3, 6, 9, 10 in 4 years. That's over 1 million kids.
Yeah.
Which is
and how do they go missing?
Which is the internet.
Look at
which
the
is
ice cream trucks.
The gift and the curse. The same way. The same way we're finding out more about sex trafficking.
They come around.
I'm pretty sure that it probably goes up with the help of the internet, because now people don't need to go get an ice cream truck to attract kids anymore. They do something online and they know, the kids gonna come to me
is
online.
a trick that's always going to work.
Explain the ice cream truck thing for them.
The ice cream truck is basically, the ice cream cup. What is mainly ice cream truck? To draw kids, right?
Yeah, Mr. Softy.
Yes, to draw the attention of kids.
No, but
and
I think
once you have an ice cream truck, a lot of times when you have a kid, they might not listen a little. Like, let's say you walking with them, they see the ice cream truck, some might run to the truck, right?
No, but let me say this. If I'm thinking critically here, I'm thinking online is probably, like, I think more kids are probably trafficked online.
Of course.
Than snatched from the ice cream truck.
Yeah, but some people, especially of certain races, they give their kids up for that. But like they be like, "Hey, rape my kid." As crazy as it may sound.
But
that's very true.
But we call that rape, and it is. But those people in those cultures, they find it completely normal, which is completely wrong.
It's wrong, but it's the new normal.
They find it completely normal. So it's like, and I actually like battle with my soul all the time about this, because it's like,
you battle with your soul?
It's what do we do about that? Because it's like,
what'd you do about it?
I don't know, because it's like it's up. I feel like it's up to them.
Up to who?
The people in that environment, like like somewhere in the Middle East, any country in the Middle East, where it's like the girl is 14-year-old and she could marry some guy who's 28 as long as her dad says it's okay. Like, that's their culture.
Do you think that's sex trafficking?
I think it's wrong, but that's their culture. And where am I to come in and say that culture is wrong?
It's wrong.
But I find it wrong, right? Morally, I think it's crazy. But it's like, I do not have any kind of authority to go into that person's land and tell him that, this is wrong. The same way I don't expect that person to come to my house and tell me what I'm doing is wrong. This is why.
But if it happens on the street, I would say that you can't just let it happen.
No, if it happens on the street where there are laws against that, then we could do something about it.
No, I'm saying
if you guys seen a kid being kidnapped, what would you guys do?
I gotta help.
Step up and try to stop it. I understand
I can't let kid get kidnapped.
Let's say you go to Saudi Arabia. So your friend said, we go to a wedding. You dress up, you go to the wedding, you show up, and then it's some 14-year-old girl that's about to marry some guy who's like 33.
I'm leaving. Personally,
but that's what I'm saying. That's all you
can do. That's the part right there.
That's all you could do. Even though you feel like it's kidnapping, even though you feel like it's wrong, all you could do is leave. But if you're here
you gotta leave the mug.
But if you're here in New York, right, and you see that, what you're doing? You're not just leaving. You calling the cops. You're like, this is not happening. This is against the law. Like, you're gonna step up and say that. But in somewhere else where this is not the law, like, you just can't do anything. Like, you can try to educate those people. You can try to tell them, you should advocate in your countries that way, so that could be different. This is why I just said the internet is a gift and a curse.
But there's a new problem now. The fact
I don't think it's a gift for the way it's a gift for a curse.
It's a gift and a curse. The same way
the internet is not bad though. It's the people.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The same way you could use it, like me in the United States, I could interact with somebody in Russia and tell them like, this is the way that you're in Russia. Listen, I think that's wrong. Like you should probably leave or advocate so that you
might want to just leave.
No. Or you could just listen.
Nah, you advocate for change, you get killed. You ain't hear about the guy
you will. It's not the U.S.
He just got poisoned.
It's not USA where you got that.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Putin could only kill so many people. In 1996, when Putin was killing people, we didn't even know. It was on some page of the New York Times, and if you didn't read the foreign affairs section, you didn't know about it. Now, we actually found out the next day. So, we can only hope that in another 10 years, people will be like, oh, this is not just a rumor anymore. This is actually happening. Because a lot of those people, what they hide behind is the same thing Trump always says. Fake news. Fake news. They say I killed all those people. These people are lying on me, man. Talking about I gassed some kids. They just want to come invade our country. But over time, with the internet, as we have connection, we could hope that, let's say in 1990, if someone took that picture, right? They took that picture, they got to go in the mail, they got to send it away, you got to wait 2 or 3 weeks before it could reach somewhere. Within that time,
it got to be approved by publisher.
You could find out that picture was taken, you could intercept it, make sure the picture doesn't go anywhere.
Kill the person that sent the picture.
Imagine you gas some kids now. Somebody take a picture and post it on Twitter. You could erase it 2 seconds after the picture was posted. Once it's online, once somebody spot it, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. That's why I say, people, those authoritarian leaders, it's only so much they can do. This is why in places like China, they restrict the internet. They understand the power of it, but they restrict it completely. You go online in China and research freedom of speech,
it will not pop up.
The police is in your door the next day. Like, what are you researching? What's going on?
And your whole country will go down.
Everything. You feel like you can talk against the government? You're unpatriotic? Like literally, the next day they will come to your door and do that. Places like North Korea, they go extremely different. They're like, internet? What you need internet for? No internet.
Speaking of North Korea, what do you guys think about what Kim Jong-un did where he faked his own death so he could make the traitors come out? And
He always does that, man. There used to be things like, I remember like when Saddam was in power in Iraq, he used to try his generals, like he would call their house phone. If you even hear an English accent, you're supposed to hang up. If you even say hello, I can't talk right now, that's it. Or don't call me, you're in trouble. Yeah, because that's Saddam rule. Anything American, hang up the phone. And they used to even try people in that. But those authoritarian leaders, that's what they do, man. Like, they grip onto power and they make sure they hold it. And, they try anything. Like, come on, man. Kim Jong-un, wanted to send a message against his uncle that was trying to overtake power on him. He starved, I think it was 10 dogs for 7 days. And then put his uncle on the square so that everybody could see. And let those dogs out on him. Hungry dogs.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And if you do that to your uncle, what would you do to me if I decide to say you're not the great, powerful Kim Jong-un? And this is the same way. When Americans go to North Korea, I understand what you want to fight against. But you're in somebody else's territory.
You got to have an army first.
Laws. And you must abide by those laws, no matter what you want to do.
You must create an army first.
The kid that got killed, he literally died because he ripped a poster off the wall.
Oh, the American kid?
Yeah, he ripped a poster off the wall.
And they beat him up.
And
they beat him in jail.
And they tell in North Korea, that's propaganda. You're a terrorist. And that's it.
Oh,
that's it. over for you.
It's a wrap. They're gonna be like,
Over for you. That's why I'm like, no matter how much some things like hurt us morally, how much can we actually do? But this is why I'm like, the internet is probably the best that we could use.
Do you think as black people, there's even less that we can do?
I think there's more that we could do with what Ace is saying. If we have unity, there's so much that we could do, man. Because I remember one time my uncle was going to school in Kingsborough, and he came home one day and he told me like, yo, this Chinese kid in the class, in his political science class, told him something today that was crazy. Like, they would always talk in the class, engage, blah, blah, talk to the teacher about whatever topic. One day after class, the Chinese guy called him, like, Steve, let me talk to you. Yeah, let me talk to you. So he's like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, what's going on? He's like, I just have to tell you this. Like, I want to say thank you. I want to say I respect you so much, but you really opened my eyes, because in China, like, the only thing I saw black people was Chris Tucker.
I'm dead.
I always thought black people are just non-intellectuals, you know. Clowns. They're just clowns, want to wear their pants down their butt. They want to fight each other, you know, and they want to, do you understand that? They want to act stupid.
That's the image they portray of us.
But can you imagine, like, that's what's going on in China. And that's the message that is being portrayed about us. But that message came directly from a movie that we partook in. Rush Hour made millions, bro. They made 3 movies. They paid Chris Tucker, what, like $30 million for the last movie?
Yeah.
And that's the message that it was portraying about us around the world.
And it's always
Chris Tucker had no idea.
But that's why I said
Chris Tucker had no idea that this was about to happen. I would never tell Chris Tucker, don't take that check. What I would say is what I said earlier. Why the movies that are being produced are the only ones that show black people either gangbanging or doing crazy stuff. Then this is why we need to infiltrate Hollywood and make our own movies.
But you can't infiltrate Hollywood. Most people that try fit.
We have people that... Yeah, Tyler Perry is doing his own movies right now. Right now. And he's telling people, I'm willing to work. Look at my room. I haven't worked with people for mad long. I've always wrote my own stuff. But he's like,
the white man,
if I'm really going to be about inclusion, I have to include. So if you're writing, send me stuff. Let's work. And this is like, but this is what we have to do now. We have to
understand. What if I say that, yeah, he does his work, but what if I say that the white man still has his fingerprints on the script?
He does.
As in, like, he did not write that full script.
Oh, no.
The white man.
You bugging. Now you're talking conspiracy right now, because you bugging.
No,
bro. You mean there's somebody, bro, the man just
Martin Luther King.
The man just bought how many speeches. The man just bought how many acres of land?
Not written by him.
The man just bought how many acres of land? Funded his own studio. And then you're going to tell me that some white boy is going to come tell him, oh, he can't do this? If it was for that, none of his Medea movies would have got out. Come on, son. Like,
he had the consent.
At some point, Ace, you have to stop giving the system that much credit, man. You keep acting like, bro, we're effed. We can't do anything.
I never said you can't. I just said what you can do is not going to happen.
I think at one point Tyler Perry was pushing a certain agenda, and it was basically like the black man isn't much, because most of his stories was the same. Black man abusing black woman, and then she finds a new man, and then.
But I say that's wrong.
Exactly.
I say that's wrong because for years you have to realize, even though you want to say black men are being treated or being portrayed wrong in those movies, black women for years has felt oppressed in our household. And as men, as kings, we allowed that. Like, we knew people who were knuckling their wives, and we still went out and had drinks with them and said, this isn't my business. We accepted it. So when we did that and Tyler Perry came in and said, no, I'm going to show y'all out, we can't go against that because we had a chance to solve it internally. We could have done that. We could have sat down with our brothers and said, no, we're doing this wrong. But the statistics showed it. All of us allowed it. Like I always say that. When we know that our friends are doing wrong, we got to step up. Like, your friend is cheating, your job is not to, just cover for him. Like, bro, at some point that got to stop, son. You can't keep, at some point we have to hold our own friends accountable as well.
Now, I went through that situation where my boy and even his girl was saying that, they be throwing hands and, it got real bad. And I was like, bro, you got to stop.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
Because they was telling me stuff that, I know I couldn't do to someone that I say that, I love. Because it got a little crazy. But yeah, those are things that we have to work on internally, like you said, within our own households. And we got to hold each other accountable. And that's one of the things that us as colored people haven't been doing, holding each other accountable.
Right.
We often look the other way and say it's none of our business, which is wrong. Because when we say it's none of our business, then the law and the man steps in, and then
when they step in,
we just lose the narrative right there, and that's what I'm saying.
They come in with their own narrative.
Once it's public, there's almost nothing we could do, man.
Yeah. So closing thoughts.
My closing thought: everything in life come with a price.
Yeah. My closing thought is, like I said, we're in a fight against a system that is oppressing us in every way. But if we get together, if we educate ourselves, we could infiltrate that system and change it, because no matter what they did, even when the country was set up, they needed slaves here to do it. And they couldn't treat us as nobodies, so they put us as 3/5 of a man. But still, we were part of that system. We created it. We went from slaves. We elevated, and we're still elevating. At this point, we have to start uniting, so we could get to a point where we could directly change that system that has been oppressing us. But just sitting down and just accepting it and partaking in it, morally it's wrong, because we're growing, we're having kids, and to just decide to have our kids in that system and say, yo, just go become a doctor and everything will be fine.
It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real